The massive crystal halls of the Galactic Empire buzzed with activity as alien leaders from across the galaxy gathered for their weekly meeting. Admiral Velthor, a tall creature with 6 glowing eyes, stood at the center of the room, looking at a small holographic screen. His deep voice echoed through the chamber as he spoke to the other council members. "You will not believe what we just received," he said, his multiple eyes blinking in what looked like amusement. "A message from that tiny planet called Earth." Chancellor Mordock floated in his special chair, his long tentacle arms moving slowly as he listened. "Earth, that backward world we discovered last month. What could they possibly want?" The hologram flickered to life, showing a young human woman in a simple military uniform. She had short black hair and calm dark eyes. Her name appeared on the screen as Commander Kim Yuna. Her voice was steady and polite as she began to speak. "Greetings to the honored High Council of the Galactic Empire. My name is Commander Kim Yuna, speaking on behalf of all humanity. We have watched your recent actions against our colony worlds with great concern." Several alien council members started laughing quietly. These humans had only learned to travel between stars 50 years ago. The Empire had been ruling the galaxy for over 3,000 years. Kim Yuna continued speaking from the recording. "We understand that your empire has certain rules about expansion and territory. However, we cannot allow the continued attacks on our people. We are making a formal request for you to stop all hostile actions against human settlements." "A request?" General Crixton snorted, his armored shell clicking as he moved. "These creatures think they can make requests of us." But Kim Yuna was not finished. Her next words made the laughter stop. "You have exactly 72 standard hours to remove all Imperial forces from human space. We hope you will choose the path of peace. We truly do not want conflict with your empire." The room fell silent. Admiral Velthor rewound the message and played the ending again. "This is our final warning. We sincerely hope you will make the right choice. The alternative would be very unfortunate for everyone involved. Warning." Chancellor Mordock's tentacles writhed with anger. "These hairless apes dare to warn us. Perhaps they do not understand who they are speaking to," suggested Intelligence Director Yaxmora, her crystal body glowing brighter. "Their species has only been in space for 50% of their years. They have maybe a dozen colony worlds. We control 10,000 systems." Admiral Velthor studied the human woman's face on the screen. Something about her calm expression bothered him, but he could not say what. "Their technology is primitive. Their largest ships are smaller than our escort vessels. Yet she speaks as if we are equals." "More than equals," General Crixton growled. "She speaks to us like we are children playing with dangerous toys." The council members began talking among themselves. Some wanted to ignore the message completely. Others suggested making an example of one human world to show them their place. A few wondered if there was more to this message than it appeared. "What do we know about their military?" asked Chancellor Moore single quotes. DAC Intelligence Director Yaxmora projected data into the center of the room. Approximately 200 ships total. Basic energy weapons. Standard defense shields. Nothing we have not seen from dozens of other young species. "Then why," Admiral Velthar asked slowly, "does this Commander Kim Yuna sound so confident?" "Because they are young and foolish," General Crixton declared. "Like all primitive species, they believe their small achievements make them mighty. We should show them the truth." Chancellor Mordock raised a tentacle for silence. "Very well, Admiral Velthar. Take the 47th Fleet to their nearest colony. Use standard procedures. Disable their defenses. Occupy their world. Arrest their leaders. Once they see Imperial power up close, they will surrender quickly. And if they resist," Velthor asked, "then we remind them why the Empire has ruled for 3,000 years." As the council meeting ended and the alien leaders began to leave, none of them noticed the tiny energy flicker in the room's security systems. For just a moment, the quantum barriers around their most secret meeting place had been breached. Someone had been listening to every word they said, far across the galaxy, on a hidden base near Earth. General Park Min-ho turned off the surveillance feed and looked at his staff. His weathered face showed no emotion as he spoke to the human officers around him. "They have made their choice," he said quietly. "Send the signal to all fleet commanders. Tell them Operation Sunfall is now active." A young officer raised her hand. "Sir, are we really going to do this? There are billions of innocent people in the Empire." General Park looked out at the stars visible through the base's windows. "Lieutenant, humanity has been preparing for this day for over 200 years. We gave them every chance to choose peace. Now we must show them why Earth's first message to the galaxy was a warning, not a threat." The preparations began immediately. Across human space, ships that had been hidden for decades began to move. Technologies that the Empire could not imagine started coming online. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the smallest worlds carried the biggest surprises. The 47th Imperial Fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a thunderstorm appearing in a clear sky. 43 massive warships, each one longer than a city block, hung in space above the human colony world of New Sol. Their dark hulls blocked out the light from the system's star, casting shadows across the farming communities below. Admiral Velthar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominator, watching the peaceful planet through the main viewing screen. Small cities dotted the green landscape between vast fields of crops. It looked exactly like every other young colony world he had conquered over his long career. "Begin standard broadcasting," he ordered his communications officer. "Tell them they have 10 minutes to surrender completely, or we will take their world by force." But instead of panicked responses from the colony, something unexpected happened. A single transmission came up from the planet's surface. The main screen showed a middle-aged human man sitting calmly at a simple wooden desk. He wore ordinary civilian clothes and had graying hair. His name appeared as Governor Lee Daeho. "Good morning, Admiral Velthar," the human said with a slight smile. "I am Governor Lee Daeho. I am afraid I must ask you to leave our system immediately." Several officers on the bridge began laughing. Admiral Velthar held up a hand for silence, though he was also amused. "Governor Lee, surely you can see the size of my fleet. You have no choice but to surrender." "I can see your fleet very clearly," Lee Daeho replied calmly. 43 capital ships, 216 support vessels, and approximately 3 million Imperial personnel. What I suspect you cannot see is the rather large fleet currently positioned behind your formation. Admiral Velthar felt his amusement fade. "What are you talking about?" His sensor officer suddenly straightened in his chair, staring at his instruments with wide eyes. "Admiral, I am detecting massive energy signatures. Multiple contacts appearing everywhere around us. They were not there 30 seconds ago." The tactical display exploded with red warning dots. Hundreds of human ships had appeared as if from nowhere. They surrounded the Imperial fleet completely, their positions showing they had been watching and waiting from the moment the Empire arrived. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Velthar. "Our sensors would have detected them." Governor Lee's voice continued from the screen. "Technology, Admiral. We have had a very long time to develop it. Now, I am going to turn you over to Captain Cho Ji-won of our defense fleet. Captain, please proceed." A new voice came over the communication system. It belonged to a young human woman who sounded almost bored. "Imperial Fleet, this is Captain Cho Ji-won. You are ordered to power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted from this system." Admiral Velthar found his voice. "Captain, you are outnumbered 3 to 1. Your ships are tiny compared to ours. Surrender now, and I will be merciful." "Admiral," Captain Cho replied, "size is not everything. Allow me to demonstrate." The lead human vessel, barely 1/10 the size of the Imperial flagship, opened fire. But these were not the primitive energy weapons the Empire expected. Streams of what looked like controlled starlight struck the Imperial shields and simply passed through them like they were not there at all. "Shields are being ignored," his tactical officer shouted in panic. "The energy is changing our deflector arrays at the smallest level." "I do not understand how this is possible." Admiral Velthor watched in horror as his mighty shields, designed to stop planet-killing weapons, were bypassed as easily as walking through an open door. The human weapons struck his ship's hull and began doing something impossible. Instead of causing explosions or damage, they seemed to be rewriting the very structure of his ship's systems. "Engines are offline," reported his engineering officer. "Weapons are offline. Life support is running on backup power. Sir, they are shutting down our entire ship without hurting anyone." Around the fleet, the same thing was happening to every Imperial vessel. Within minutes, the entire 47th Fleet was floating helplessly in space, their crews unharmed but their ships completely powerless. Admiral Velthor had fought in 100 battles across 50 years of military service. He had seen weapons that could crack planets and shields that could stop exploding stars, but he had never seen anything like this. The humans were not just defeating his fleet. They were doing it gently, precisely, like a parent taking dangerous toys away from children. Governor Lee Daeho's face appeared on the screen again. His expression was sad, rather than victorious. "Admiral, you and your crews are completely unharmed, as we intended. Your ships will regain full power in approximately 6 hours. Please use that time to consider whether this conflict is truly in your Empire's best interests." "How?" Admiral Velthor asked weakly. "How did you do this?" "We had good teachers," Lee Daeho replied. "We have been watching your Empire for a very long time, Admiral. We know every detail of your technology, your tactics, your strategies. We studied you while you ignored us. We prepared while you assumed we were harmless." The human governor stood up from his desk. "Admiral, please carry a message back to your High Council. Earth offers friendship to all peaceful species, but we will not allow anyone to harm our people. This demonstration was our way of proving that we can defend ourselves without unnecessary death or destruction." As the transmission ended, Admiral Velthor sat in his command chair, staring at the tactical display still full of human ships. For the first time in his career, he had been completely outmatched by an enemy he had thought was helpless. The emergency meeting of the High Council was chaos. Alien leaders shouted at each other across the crystal chamber, while holographic reports flashed on every screen. The news kept getting worse with each passing hour. Chancellor Mordok floated in the center of the room, his tentacles writhing with anger and fear. 17 fleets disabled, he announced to the panicking council. 43 military outposts, experiencing complete system failures. And worst of all, we have lost all contact with Intelligence Base 0. Intelligence Director Yax Mora's crystal body flickered with nervous energy as she projected new data onto the main display. The analysis is clear. These humans have been watching us for much longer than we thought possible. The quantum signatures suggest surveillance technology that is centuries ahead of what they should have. General Crixton slammed his armored fist on the council table, creating a loud crack. "This is impossible. We monitored their development from the beginning. They discovered fire only 10,000 years ago. They split the atom barely 2 centuries ago. Did we really monitor them?" Admiral Velthor asked quietly from his seat. His recent defeat had changed him. Instead of anger, his voice carried doubt. Or did they let us see only what they wanted us to see? Before anyone could answer, something impossible happened. The chamber's communication system activated by itself. No one had given permission for any transmission. Security protocols that had protected the High Council for 1,000 years simply stopped working. The main holographic display came to life, showing a human male in a dark military uniform. He appeared to be middle-aged, with sharp eyes and the bearing of someone used to absolute command. His uniform had no decorations, but something about him suggested very high rank. Honorable members of the High Council, the human said, in perfect galactic standard. I am Fleet Admiral Song Hyun-woo of the Terran Defense Force. I believe you have been receiving reports about recent encounters with our forces. Chancellor Mordok found his voice after several seconds of shock. How are you transmitting directly? Into our most secure facility. Admiral Song smiled, but the expression was not friendly. Chancellor, we have been transmitting into your secure facilities for over 200 years. How else do you think we learned your languages, your customs, your military capabilities? We have been preparing for this conversation since before your great-grandfathers held their positions. The council chamber fell completely silent. Every alien leader stared at the human on the screen, finally beginning to understand how completely they had been outplayed. What do you want from us? General Crixton demanded. The same thing we have wanted from the beginning, Song replied calmly. For you to leave our people alone. Your empire has had 3 clear opportunities to choose peaceful relations. Each time, you chose aggression instead. Now we are implementing consequences. The display changed to show a real-time view of the Empire's capital system. A single human vessel, no larger than a small patrol ship, floated in space near the system's massive star. The ship looked tiny compared to the burning giant, but something about its position made everyone nervous. That vessel, Admiral Song continued in the same calm tone, contains technology that can cause your sun to undergo controlled instability. Nothing catastrophic, of course. Just enough to disrupt the energy grids of all 12 planets in your capital system for approximately 6 months. Several council members gasped. The capital system contained over 40 billion people across its 12 worlds. Without the star's energy, their civilization would collapse within weeks. You would not dare, Chancellor Mordok whispered. We would prefer not to, Song admitted. But the crew of that ship has orders to activate the device if this council does not make the right choice. They are currently debating whether your recent actions justify such extreme measures. Admiral Song's expression became more serious. The debate is scheduled to conclude in 47 hours and 33 minutes. I strongly suggest you use that time to reconsider your empire's policies toward humanity. Intelligence Director Yaxmora's voice shook as she spoke. You are? Threatening to murder billions of innocent people. No, Song corrected firmly. We are threatening to inconvenience them. The star will flicker, not die. Your people will be uncomfortable, not dead. This is the difference between human warfare and imperial warfare. We solve problems with precision, not massacre. The human admiral paused, then continued in a softer voice. Director Yaxamora, in the past month, your empire has killed over 30,000 human civilians in unprovoked attacks on our colonies. We could have responded by destroying imperial worlds. Instead, we disabled your fleets without killing anyone. We shut down your military bases without harming a single soldier. Even now, with the power to collapse your entire civilization, we offer you a choice. General Crixton stood up angrily. And if we refuse, if we choose to fight, then tomorrow morning, every military installation in the Empire will simply stop working. Every warship, every defense platform, every weapons factory, not destroyed, General, not damaged, just turned off, forever. Admiral Song's image began to fade. 47 hours, 32 minutes. Choose wisely. The transmission ended, leaving the High Council in stunned silence. For 3,000 years, they had been the strongest force in the galaxy. Now they sat powerless, waiting to learn their fate from a species they had thought was helpless. Outside the council chamber, across the capital system, 40 billion people went about their daily lives, unaware that their sun might soon flicker and their world might change forever. Panic spread across the Empire's most important worlds, like a disease. Admiral Song's demonstration had been terrifying in its precision. The human ship had indeed made the capital system's star flicker for exactly 63 seconds, plunging 12 worlds into complete darkness. When the light returned, everyone understood the message perfectly. Humanity could destroy them all, but chose not to. On the industrial world of Keth Prime, President Governor Zulkara watched from her office window as the planet's massive factories went dark one by one. But they were not destroyed or damaged. They were simply turned off. Human infiltrators had somehow accessed control systems that should have been impossible to reach. The message was clear without words. We can shut down your entire civilization whenever we choose. Similar reports flooded in from across the Empire. On Morthok Station, the huge orbital shipyard found its construction machines doing something impossible. Instead of building warships, the robotic arms were painting beautiful murals on the station walls. Intricate artwork that would take weeks to remove covered every surface. The images showed scenes of peace between different species working together. The trade hub of Nexus 7 discovered that its banking computers had been reprogrammed. Instead of processing financial transactions, every screen displayed the same message in perfect high galactic script. Peace is more profitable than war, it said. The message appeared in dozens of languages, including several that humans supposedly did not know. But the most shocking incident happened at the Empire's most secret military facility. General Yokshin commanded Strategic Base Alpha, buried 3 kilometers underground on a dead planet. The base was so classified that only the High Council knew it existed. Its location was hidden in the deepest files of Imperial intelligence. The facility was protected by shields that could survive direct hits from planet-killing weapons. General Yokshin was reviewing battle plans in the center of his command bunker when the lights dimmed for a moment. When they came back on, a young human woman was sitting calmly at his strategy table. She was sipping tea from a small ceramic cup as if she belonged there. "Good evening, General," she said in perfect galactic standard. "My name is Lieutenant Colonel Han Jiyoung. I apologize for entering without permission." Yokshin's security guards immediately pointed their weapons at her, but Han Jiyoung raised a gentle hand. "Please, there is no need for weapons. I am only here to deliver a message." "How did you get inside this facility?" Yokshin whispered. His voice shook with fear and disbelief. "I walked through the front entrance," she replied simply. "After I convinced your security systems that I was supposed to be here. Your computer defenses are quite advanced, but we have been working with this technology for much longer than your records show." General Yokshin stared at her in shock. This base was the most secure location in the Empire. Getting inside should have been completely impossible. Yet this human woman sat drinking tea as if she were visiting a friend's home. "What do you want?" he asked. Han Jiyoung stood up, leaving her teacup on the table. "General, your empire has approximately 18 hours to formally surrender. Not just stop fighting, but surrender completely. The distinction is very important. We do not want to rule your worlds or control your people. We simply want you to stop trying to rule ours. And if the High Council refuses," the human woman's expression became sad, "then tomorrow morning, every single military installation in the Empire will stop working. Every warship, every defense platform, every weapons factory, every training academy. Not destroyed, General, not damaged, simply turned off forever." She began walking toward the exit, moving past the guards who seemed frozen in place. Then she paused and turned back. "Oh, General, that cup I was drinking from is made from clay that comes from my hometown on Earth. I thought you might want to have your scientists analyze it. The quantum signature should prove very educational about how long we have really been developing our technology." "Wait," Yokshin called out. "How many of you are there? How many humans are already inside our facilities?" Han Jiyoung smiled sadly. "General, We are not inside your facilities. We are inside your entire civilization. We have been watching, learning, and preparing for over 2 centuries. Every computer system, every communication network, every piece of technology in your empire. We know it all better than you do. That isn't possible, is it? General, how do you think we learned to speak your language so perfectly? How did we know the exact location of this secret base? How did we develop weapons that could bypass your shields? She paused at the doorway. We did not develop those things after we met you, General. We developed them while we were studying you. As she walked out, General Yokshin picked up the ceramic teacup with shaking hands. It was still warm. The simple cup represented something that terrified him more than any weapon. It proved that humans had been among them, watching and learning, for generations, across the empire. Similar realizations were dawning. The species they had dismissed as primitive had been playing a game that lasted centuries, and now, in the final moves of that game, the Empire was discovering they had already lost before the first shot was fired. The 18-hour countdown had begun. 1 year later, the former Imperial Palace on Morthok Prime looked completely different. The tall, frightening spires that had been built to make visitors feel small were gone. In their place stood open courtyards with gardens where beings from dozens of different worlds could meet and talk. The building that had once been the center of galactic fear was now the headquarters of the Galactic Cooperation Council. Former Chancellor Mordok, who now held the title of regional representative, sat across from Director Kim Sunwoo in what had once been the throne room. The human woman was reading reports on a small tablet, her face showing the same calm efficiency that had marked humanity's entire campaign against the Empire. The factories on Keth Prime are working better than before, Kim reported without looking up. Your engineers are learning the new manufacturing methods faster than we expected. Production is up by 30%. Mordok's tentacles moved in what humans had learned meant curiosity rather than anger. Director Kim, may I ask you something that has bothered me since the war ended? Of course you may. Your people could have destroyed us all. The technology you showed during the conflict makes it clear that you could have eliminated the entire Empire hundreds of years ago if you had wanted to. Why did you not do it? Kim put down her tablet and looked out the large window at the busy streets below. Humans and aliens from dozens of species worked together, building something that would have been impossible under the old empire. Children from different worlds played together in parks that had once been military parade grounds. Because, Representative Mordok, the galaxy is a large and dangerous place. Humanity learned long ago that the strongest civilizations are built on cooperation, not fear. We needed friends and allies, not slaves or enemies. But your military power, your weapons were built because we had to build them, Kim interrupted gently. We knew that eventually we would meet civilizations that saw our independence as a threat to their power. We prepared for that day, hoping we would never need to use what we had created. Mordok was quiet for several minutes, thinking about her words. The surveillance. You watched us for centuries without us knowing. We did. Not just the Empire, but every civilization in this part of the galaxy. We needed to understand who we would be dealing with when we finally revealed ourselves to the universe. And what did you decide about us? Kim smiled, and for the first time Mordok saw that it was a genuine, warm expression. That most species, when given the choice between working together and fighting, will choose to work together. The Empire's leadership made different choices, but the ordinary people of the Empire were never our enemies. Through the window, they could see construction, crews working on the new interspecies university. Former Imperial citizens learned alongside humans and dozens of other species that had joined the Cooperation Council after the Empire's peaceful transformation. Students who had once been taught to fear other species now studied together, sharing knowledge that benefited everyone. Director Mordok said quietly, what you called a final warning. It really was meant to be final, was it not? if we had chosen differently. Kim nodded seriously. Then, instead of sitting in this room planning a better future together, we would all be mourning what was lost. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to imagine better possibilities. We are very glad your people decided to help us build those possibilities instead of fighting them. A young aide entered the room, carrying news that made both Kim and Mordok smile. The first graduating class from the new university had just announced their joint research project. Students from 12 different species were working together to develop medical technology that could help everyone. Their discoveries were already saving lives across dozens of worlds. There is something I still do not understand, Mordok admitted. Your people had the power to rule us completely. Instead, you chose to share that power. Why? Kim stood up and walked to a wall display, showing a map of the galaxy. Thousands of systems were marked in different colors, representing the various species that now worked together in the Cooperation Council. Because representative, ruling through fear, only works until someone stronger comes along, but building through cooperation creates something that grows stronger with each new member. She pointed to areas of the map that were still unexplored. Out there, beyond our current borders, there are civilizations we have not met yet. Some will be peaceful, others might be hostile. When we encounter them, we will not face them as the human species alone, or as the former empire alone. We will face them as a united community of worlds, each contributing their unique strengths to protect what we have all built together. As the twin suns of Morthok Prime began to set, casting golden light across the transformed capital city, Kim and Mordok continued their planning. Outside, the galaxy's first truly cooperative civilization continued to grow and prosper, built not on the ashes of the old empire, but on the foundation of what different species could accomplish when they chose to reach for the stars together, instead of fighting over who would rule them. The final warning had become a new beginning.